Hey guys, Blue Kool-Aid here. Gonna do a video for you. Just gonna jump right into it. This one is most definitely gonna be short, uh, but I did want to show this stuff to you today. Um, anyway, got you guys over at SDO, and we're looking at the 193 on the left and the 211 on the right. Obviously, the first thing you're gonna see there is that sunspot. Okay. Um, I will talk about that for a second. I do believe that is a sunspot. If it's not, yeah, it's pretty bright and pretty consistently staying there. And something else that I've noticed, if you look behind it, that started to appear also. We tend to see this sometimes. If a sunspot forms, a lot of times you'll see almost like a cluster of them. Sometimes they can turn into like what they call a coronal prominence, which is basically just a grouping of close by sunspots to one another. Just a very active area on the sun. But I talked about this a little bit yesterday. That's starting to get close to, Earth facing. There's the equator and there's the Earth, right? That's about the position of these. It's just rough. Obviously, it's a rough area there. But as you see here, if this sunspot continues and stays where stays at its current strength or gets bigger, as the sun rotates, it's going to rotate right straight across us. Okay. And when I say us, this is on the sun, so it's rotating basically in front of us. This has a greater chance if it does flare or cause a CME that it would be more Earth facing than not. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. Nothing's happened with it yet. I mean, there's been some flaring on it a little bit, very small ones. I'll show you guys that here in a minute. But it's not just there. The whole sun is doing a bunch of little small ejections. I guess maybe I shouldn't call them ejections, but there's a lot of energy leaving the sun all over it. Okay, and I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. But right here, there's that coronal hole that we will be seeing the effects of it probably within the next 12 hours of me making this video. That's when I would expect to see it. Maybe a little longer, up to another day. And I'm making it at about 3 o'clock Eastern time is when I'm making this video. So, we can kind of gauge by that. But also something else I'm finding interesting here is that we now have these that have appeared. And we've talked about this. This is, basically Earth facing. It is a little far south, but that does not mean that we can't, connect to it like we did the other ones and get a stream from it. Okay, a solar wind stream, and I do think that we probably will, especially off of this one up here. So I do think we'll see probably just small increases in the solar wind, maybe some density fluctuations, just stuff like that. That will make our magnetopoles and those graphs, they'll react to it, most definitely. Now, how they react, I can't tell you how strong these winds are going to be, but it's just something we need to pay attention to. Now, but yeah, something else I noticed, guys. You guys look at this. You see how hazy it is over here in this area and kind of up and around, but I'm seeing the front side of the sun here, the side that we see. It looks like the corona is like just getting ate away. You can tell because there's no haziness here. And at first I thought, well, maybe it's because it's directly facing the sun, because the background is essentially the same color as the foreground when you're looking at that. But I don't think that's the case, because if that was the case, then over here on the side it would be the same and it wouldn't be angled. Okay, and you're seeing it kind of like this over here. And it actually, it kind of extends up like that. So what does that mean? Well, it just means that the corona isn't as dense or thick, I guess you could say, there in that area. So it would lend to like maybe coronal holes being able to open up easier. So that's just the way I look at it there. But you can tell over here on the 211 we see more dark here. Okay, and it showed up over here too as far as the haziness. If you guys look at it, it's doing the same thing. Okay, I find it really interesting. Now, it may mean nothing, but to me it looks like that could be something we need to pay attention to. So, just a second, I'm going to pause for a second. Okay, guys, I got you over here at Seeds. This is the Lasco C2. Okay, this particular tool is located on the Soho Observatory. It's not on the SDO. Okay, but that's essentially giving us the same viewpoint as the SDO. It sits out in front of the Earth in a geosynchronous orbit and always looks at the sun. Okay, so it's basically like we're looking from the SDO. They're very, very similar as far as the perspective that they see. But this Lasco C2 tool is on the Soho. So I just wanted to, put that out there so people can understand that. But as you see over here on the left, you see some of it over here in this particular filter. Okay, if you look real close, you can see how the red changes color a little bit there. Obviously, what I'm getting ready to show you is not no big time massive ejections. Okay, but what I am going to show you is strange. Okay, obviously, if you look over here, you can see that it is doing stuff in all directions. Okay, we're not seeing, discharging from the sun in like a pinpointed CME or just a flare of one kind. We're seeing all kinds of stuff flying off of here. Okay, now again, these are not big ones, but there are lots of small ones. Okay, and this over here, that whole area just looks completely strange. Okay, it looks as though this material that is coming off of there is moving way slower than it typically would, than what I've seen in the past. And you can tell by just looking at that material and compare it to the material that's moving around it. Okay, you can see how much faster the other stuff is moving. Now, we do see these things do move slow sometimes when we have ejections and flares. Not necessarily flare, but because flares, they're basically moving at the speed of light, so it doesn't really change. When we start adding mass, that's when we start talking about, CMEs, coronal mass ejections. Sorry about that. Stupid ads again. But you can tell, okay? I mean, you're seeing these things happen. Oops. You're seeing these things happen all over. And this over here is just really weird looking. So, I mean, I just wanted to bring that to you. Does it mean anything? I do think that, if this is happening, we can't see what's behind that occulter, right? So, where do we go from here? Well, just a second, I'll show you. Okay, guys, this is where we go. We go to SDO. Okay, because there's no occulter there. It's just looking at the sun through filters. Okay? But what I'm going to show you, let's just do this. Today is, let's do that. Okay. Alright, we're going to look at the 171 first. Okay? And that's this particular filter. Okay, now what are we looking at? Well, we're looking at the corona. Okay, as this is moving, you're going to see that small little poof that happened right there? Watch. See that? Okay, so when it does that, it does release some energy out. Now, if it was huge, like a big filament or something, that could be considered a CME, a large one, if it was. But that wasn't. That was just a little, filament dancing around, and it popped off and wasn't that big. Wasn't that big of a deal, right? Well, start looking around here, especially around this sunspot. Look how active this sunspot is. Okay, I mean, you can tell that it's active. It's moving. It's definitely got some energy with it. Now, if you look over here, in this area, the corona, you can see it doing some stuff. Okay, small stuff again, nothing huge. All right, now something else, that other spot I showed you was right in here. Watch it. You're going to see it develop right in front of your eyes. See that? Now, it looks as though that thing's going to go ahead and possibly become another sunspot. I'm not saying it is yet, because it's not, but it's definitely got potential. Okay, now if we go down here and we start looking around the edges, this is what we're doing right here. Looking around the edges, and you see a lot of stuff doing this. So, I just seen that. Okay, it's in here. Watch what it does right there. Okay, right there. See that? I guess I could zoom in a little bit more. There. See that? Okay. That's energy leaving the sun. Okay. And it confirms it by looking over at seeds, because we've seen it on seeds first over at Lasco C2. Okay. Now over here it's doing similar stuff. Now that's a typical signature we would see with a coronal prominence. You see how it's kind of arced up, and we see kind of one of those numbers. Okay. That's probably a coronal prominence that has rotated around the other side of the sun. Okay, we're just able to see some of it. So you're going to see this too right here. Okay, it's going to do something similar. You're going to see filaments just kind of like they whip off. Okay, now up here, same stuff, guys. Same thing. See that? Let me zoom in. Sorry. There. See that? Okay. Now, does it mean anything? What it means is that the sun is actually a little bit more active than it has been. Okay. Evidence of that sunspot right there, a potential second sunspot getting ready to rotate on. And it may not become a sunspot, but it very well could be. And then we're seeing these little small ejections all over the place. Okay, so that tells me that the sun seems like it's got some energy, or something's affecting the sun, which could be our, our PX object. All right. But, what I'm showing you here is just what these tools are giving us to look at. So, we're seeing energy leave the sun all around it. So, we really need to pay attention to this as it comes forward. If we talk about how they get stronger or weaker, just depends, as they become earth facing. So if something happens there, we need to be aware of it. So just a second. Okay, this is the SDO still. This is the 304. This is the one we typically go look at if we're seeing a bunch of filament releases, or just look at filaments in itself. The sunspots tend to show up here better as far as a contrasting color. But yeah, so what we're going to do is I just showed you that the hazy looking filter, the 171. This one isn't. This seems to be a little bit more defined or contrasted. But you can see what I was just talking about. Okay, watch these things just kind of boom. See that? Quick little stuff. It ain't much. It ain't huge, but it could turn into something huge. You're adding, charged particles all over the place there. Okay, when we start seeing a bunch of these. Now again, if this was 7-8 years ago, this wouldn't be nowhere near out of the ordinary. Okay, but this is definitely different than what we have been seeing, is my point. Okay, we're in the beginning stages of the solar minimum. So, we are going to see this stuff. It's just going to be a little bit less intense from the previous sun cycle. Or it could be a lot less intense. We just got to wait and see. So, as you can tell, there's a lot of filaments dancing around there. And flopping off, and okay, and what you're doing is you're seeing everything I just showed you on 171 is being confirmed right here by all these little filaments just flicking off like little whips. Okay, and they're hard to catch sometimes because sometimes they move fast. It's not there very often, so when it does happen, sometimes you miss it. So here's that over here. Okay, I'm just showing you guys this just to give you a reference of what we're actually looking at. And I'll just back up here a little bit. Okay. So, but anyway, guys, I am going to end it here on this video. All right, I've been getting a lot of questions, what's going on and all those kinds of things. Why we, the music I use at the end of the, how I picked that on my model updates. This time it was just, I picked this music because sometimes it's important to step back and get a little bit of perspective. Give yourself a way to, I don't know, put things that are important first. Sometimes what we think is important isn't. And even if it is, sometimes you got to let things go just because it may affect your relationship with people that you love. And, frankly, right now I'm going through some issues with that particular subject. Just, me and my mother, I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to go into any detail. But when I hear songs like, what I'm getting ready to put on my model updates here, the song, the first song is, it's a song called Heaven's Not Too Far Away. It was by, the original band was We Three. So, there's a couple other songs in there too. And then, the last song that's on there is, it kind of get you back to where you need to be. But the first one the song is about, and I think I've played it maybe here on here before on my channel, but it's about three kids watching their mother pass away from cancer, and it's from her perspective. Okay. Yeah. So it's a heavy song, but it's the first part of it. So, the second part of the model update's a little bit more uptick. Okay. So I don't want to bring anybody down, but I want to help people, kind of understand that sometimes we just need to drop what we think is important and, concentrate, even if we have to swallow our pride. Sometimes those relationships are more important than being right. Okay, is what I'm trying to say. And frankly, I failed a little bit at that with, relationship with my mother. And it goes both ways. So, but anyway, I just wanted to give you guys a lesson, because that's question's been asked to me. How do you pick that stuff out? What do you, because people, seem to enjoy that part of it. And something else I'll put in here, it's frequency, right, guys? We talk about the human resonance and how it can, affect mental health and stuff like that. And that's exactly what music is, guys. It's frequency. So it definitely affects how we feel. And that's why I point that out. So anyway, guys, God bless. Yeshua saves. You can drink this Kool-Aid and buy it. Every means possible. No fear. Honey, I thought you should know that I'm in a
let you walk away, just let you leave without a trace. When I stand here taking every breath with you, ooh, you're the only one who really knew me all. How can you just walk away from me when all I can do is watch you leave? 'Cause you shared the laughter and the pain, and even shed the tears. You're the only one who really knew me all. So take a look at me now. There's just an empty space. There's nothing left here to remind me, just the memory of your face. Take a look at me now. There's just an empty space, and you coming back to me is against the odds, and that's what I've got to face. I wish I could just make you turn around and see me cry. There's so much I need